just gonna wait for the stream to start, but it should be going. My setup is a little bit not quite the way I want it, but it's good enough where I could just demonstrate what I want to do. I may edit this later. So basically, this is the receiver part of my 1022 Ruger 1022. I went ahead and hid the serial. Not that I'm pretty sure it's okay to show it. And you can see all the details here. So I've been getting into guns lately for hunting and whatnot, and less computer stuff than usual. But I mean, I'm still doing computer stuff and a bunch of other stuff. But this is something I've been diving into, taking apart the Ruger 1022 trigger assembly, and I'm having a hard time here. Where did I put my other tools? Hold on, let me do it the easy way. So what I'm trying to do here is take apart the trigger assembly. Oops. Oh my goodness, all this time I'm trying to be careful and I'm just making it worse. And it's live. That's the worst part. You're gonna end up seeing a big scratch. Oh crap, no wonder. This will be a hand-me-down. I mean, these guns are pretty cheap. This rifle, at least. Alright. Ouch. Alright, here you go. So I take off the pins here. Off comes the trigger assembly. Now this is just an aftermarket trigger assembly. You can see it's a Timney trigger. It's got a new release, and it's got one. Make sure that I don't know what you call it, but it's kind of an auto release for the. But again, oh crap. I'm pretty horrible at explaining things. I don't know all the gun terms, of course. Like I said, I'm pretty new at this. But basically, what is the most important part of a gun, and in this case, a rifle, and it's a receiver. It's the one that has your serial on it. So when you purchase it, when you submit your license that you bought a gun, you'll have paperwork, and that paperwork will have the serial. So if you lose this, or if you sell it, you want to keep your paperwork, because if something happens, they find a gun and they know what your they find out that it was your gun that was used, and trace it back. You could say that you did lose it, and that's what happened. So what a receiver does is so this is what I meant. So when you pull this back, it auto releases. Sorry about that. Have a better look here. So when you hold that thing down, it will just hold it there, and then instead of pressing another thing, you just push it back more and it would automatically close. So that's what the aftermarket thing is. You can actually do some work to modify it on your own, so you don't have to purchase anything, but I'll talk about that in a later video. And this is just a Picatinny rail I just put on because I'm actually customizing everything right now. So basically, that's why I want to talk about this. This is it. I mean, you don't really have a lot of parts to this receiver, and this is the most important part of a gun. Without it, yeah, your gun is useless, I guess. I mean, a gun is a sum of their parts. For example, this is where your barrel gets attached. You can see. Let me turn on the light over here. No, not that. There you go. So this is where you can install a barrel. You can install different types of barrels. And of course, this Picatinny rail is just another added attachment. You can screw it in, and you can add in a scope or laser if that's what you want. See, look at that scratch. It sucks. I'm an idiot. Okay, and see this part right here. So whenever you pull this back, it fires, it hits it. So that's just a replacement part. Instead of being metal, it's plastic. So it just kind of makes your receiver last a little bit longer. And of course that spring. That's pretty much it. That's all it is. You install your trigger assembly, and this is the stock trigger assembly. I mean, I did modify it so that it's automatic release, but fire it. Safety. That's just a simple. Oops, that's not good. That came off. All right. So that's the stock that came with the gun. And this is the custom, which is the okay. And having issues here. Can people even see? Okay. Hey Stevie, hi Angel, hi Shirley. Yeah, this is an odd topic, huh? Anyways, so your trigger assembly would attach here, and that's what fires the gun. And so all you need is your receiver, your trigger assembly, your barrel over here, and then of course you're gonna need your magazine. And you don't necessarily need to have one, but it helps. You have your stock where you would rest against your shoulder or your chest, your armpit, whatever. And that's what makes up a gun. But this right here is a receiver, is what pretty much puts everything together into one piece. And so this is the most important part of a gun. You don't want to lose it. You can buy all the other parts of a gun, and you don't have to register it with the state. So you can get a whole new barrel, a whole new trigger assembly, a whole new stock, and even find like my state in Massachusetts, it's 10 magazines max for a gun. So you can't purchase or any magazine more than that, or use any more than 10. But so that's pretty much it. This is very simple. You can probably make this on your own and just buy customized parts elsewhere, make it fit, and there you go. You have a gun. And so when it's just kind of interesting, just because all the customized parts to a gun, I think, if you're gonna have something like I don't know, more restrictions on gun laws or something like that, just put serials for the customized parts, serials for the trigger assembly, serials for the stock, serials for the barrels, serials for the magazines. I mean, it just makes things more convoluted, I guess. But it just tracks what you're doing, I guess. Of course, then there's the whole problem with Big Brother. So maybe tracking isn't a good thing. Anyways, that's just a thought. That's it. That's what this video is. I'm gonna do another one, and I'm going to basically take apart the stock trigger assembly and put it back together. There are videos of people doing this already, and that's where I learned most of my skills. But I figure I'd make a updated video so people can see in more detail, because there are some parts that I kind of had to figure out myself, watching like 2 or 3 different videos, and of course they weren't in high quality. So that's it for this video, and I'll update in a little bit with the disassembly and assembly of the stock Ruger 1022 trigger assembly. All right.